Alright guys, this video is going to be a little bit better tutorial of how to take part of a Mossberg plinkster. Because all the videos I get, you can't really see what the hell anybody's doing, so I'm going to try to make it a little bit better. What you're going to need is a screwdriver and a hammer. It's the only tools you're ever going to need. You don't need any more than that. I'll show you how to do it. What we're going to do is make sure nothing's in it. We're empty. Thing we're going to do is we're going to take the stock off. You have two screws, one here and one here. Take your screwdriver. Just going to take the screws out. Preferably a Phillips and not a flathead like I'm using. But any will work. They don't come completely all the way out. You just dump them and they'll fall out. Just like so. Now the whole barrel, receiver, and everything come out of the stock. Just push right here. Everything lifts right out. Don't need the stock now. Now what you're going to have is two pins. You have a pin here and a pin here. A lot of people say you can use a punch. You can use that. I said now if you're out in the field, instead of carrying a punch, just use your screw. Show you how it works. Screw fits the exact same diameter. Just hold it on there. Lightly tap with your hammer. Screw pops out. Doesn't touch the thread. One pin out. Do the same for the other one. Again, pin pops out. As simple as that. Now what you're going to do is with your magazine in, pull back the slide. Make sure it's exposed just like this. This will help you to pull the whole trigger guard out of your receiver. Now what you're going to do is just grab and just slightly pull. Kind of wiggle it just a little bit. It's going to come out pretty fast. The whole piece will slide right out. You've got your trigger release there, or handle, charging handle, I guess what you'd call it. You've got your bolt. You've got your spring. You got your guiding rod. There is a buffer inside of here. It's a little plastic buffer. I'll show you also how to put that in there. And of course, the whole trigger assembly and your magazine. And it's completely disassembled Mossberg plinkster. Now I'm going to show you how to put it back together. What we're going to do is you're going to take your spring. If you got everything all cleaned up, take your spring. Doesn't matter, each side's exactly the same. Slide it just like so. You've got a small little hole here on your bolt. Spring. You got your guiding rod right here. Your spring part is now going to go inside that hole. Push it as far as it'll go. Inside of the bolt and pretty much the whole entire gun, there is a small groove right inside here. It's indicated right here. That is where the end of your guiding rod is going to go. What you're going to do is you're going to stick that just basically in there. Now what I like to do is kind of keep this part level, that way you don't bend your spring. What I do is I usually keep my finger back in here, kind of lift it like this. Just keep it completely straight. And while using my thumb, I push it back. Just to get it down to the seat in there. Now the gun is going to completely sit just like this. Don't want to push it all the way down because you got to get your charging handle back in. Slide your charging handle in. Get it lined up. Push the bolt down. Make sure it's nice and tight in there. Everything's seated nice in there. Slide works. It's doing what it's supposed to. Now the buffer. The buffer's got kind of this, a little bit like an L shape kind of look to it. It's kind of funky looking. This little groove is where the pin is going to go across. The pin sits exactly in that groove. So what this piece right here is going to look like is just going to sit exactly like this. It's going to be lined up with that pinhole. So once you got it nice and seated in there, it's going to sit just like that. So now what we can do is get your whole trigger assembly, load the back in, line up the back hole. Once you got the whole back lined up, because you got that buffer pad in there, a little buffer, take your first pin, push the first pin in. First pin is in. Now what we're going to do is to get this top piece in, what you need to do is take your charging slide and pull the slide back. Once you got that slide back, this part right here will fall into place. My buffer got out of place. This gun is very, very, very tricky to take apart because of that little buffer. That buffer does not stay completely straight. It is impossible to get this gun to go back. The buffer moved on me. Try to keep that buffer completely straight. On the slide on me there. There we go. Get that pin nice and seated in there. Now you can take your slide, put your slide back. Now we're sliding into place. Once you got the hole lined up, you can lock your bolt back in place. Put your other pin back in. Close the bolt back up. Just repeat the process. Put your stock back in. You can see the two holes. It fits just nice and tight in there. Goes in all at once. Put your screws back in. Definitely helps if it's not a flat head screwdriver. Phillips makes it a lot better. There we go. Everything's nice and seated in there. Bolt slide locks back. Firing pin works.